Have you ever seen a dresser made out of nightstands? I hadn't either. But I picked this up from a neighbor who was moving and had this in her closet. She actually bought this in a consignment store. It looks like it just had one thin layer of paint and very heavily distressed. They stacked 2 nightstands, put in 6 screws around there to just attach them together, and I'm about to take them apart. So I first got a drill bit just to drill out whatever they had covered that area with, and I was able to get a screw out rather easy. And I thought, oh, this will be a piece of cake. That next screw would not come out, so I grabbed my multi-tool, went to town on that screw, and it actually came apart. So I laid it down. I went to town on these. Of course, this is shortened. These actually take several minutes to cut each one. I got 2 of them done, and I thought, awesome, it's going to come right apart. And then I realized there's 2 more. There's 2 more screws in the front, so there's 6 total. I had to roll this around and lay it on its back, and then get to the other 2. By now, my multi-tool blade it's getting rather dull from trying to do these screws. I usually just cut wood with it. I'm just going to pop it apart. And I should have done that from the beginning. You know, live and learn. When will I ever need to know that again? But hopefully I never come across another nightstand dresser. But they're separated. It's like the first time conjoined twins come apart. It was so nice. I realized after I tried to stand that up that I had big screws still sticking out of the bottom of it. So I had to turn it over and grab a hammer and get those big screws out. I would never have thought of this, but these 6 screws were all that were holding them together. You can see the damage from the ones I just pulled apart. And then here's the damage from my multi-tool. I'm thinking I should have just ripped them apart. I'm taking this little tool. I just want to sink those remaining screws, the part that I had cut off, down a little further into the wood so that I could put some filler on top. You can see there now it's recessed down in there. I'm going to just mix up some Bondo. This is the all-purpose putty version. That's the accelerator that I put on there, and you have to mix it really well in super fast speed. But Bondo's great for stuff like this. I just fill it right in the holes, and then it cures in about 15 minutes. I also could not wait to get these details off of there. I just think they're hideous, but I don't know, maybe you like them. Maybe somebody likes them, but I did not. So I couldn't wait to take those off. Got all the hardware taken off because it had been painted. Oh, it was just destroyed. And one more of these lovely details. Yay. The last one to go. Big chunk of wood. I'm sure there was a time when maple leaves were popular. This is serious grit. I'm using 150 grit sandpaper. I love this sandpaper. It's one of my absolute favorites. I will link it for you. And now I'm using my Surf Prep to get the edges. It's the best thing for doing rounded corners, or the rounded edges of the drawers. It just cuts down on hand sanding. I would have normally had to do that all by hand. Now I just have to do the crevice right there. That's it. More Bondo for the holes because I'm definitely changing all this hardware. And the screws for the original hardware had been recessed into the drawer face. So I decided to fill that huge hole too. You can see those are big holes. So I just filled them on both sides. Time to get all of that chalk paint off of there. This is when you say, I'll never buy another piece of painted furniture. Yet again, here I have another one. So I'm just continuing to get all the rest of the chalk paint off there. It did take, a lot of extra time. Buying painted furniture is one of the things that I say I'll never do because it just really doubles or triples the amount of time for prep. If you don't have one of these little sanding rubber blocks, you need them because they fit right into the area. They come in all different shapes and sizes, and they fit right into the area you're trying to sand. So now I'm just continuing to clean up the mess from the previous flip. And I had to do the fronts of the drawers, the inside of the drawer, everything was just had paint all over it. But into the tent they go. Aren't they pretty? I guess they really have to get ugly before they get pretty. Here's the first coat of primer. I actually did primer, sanded it smooth, and then did another coat of primer just to make sure I had these fully covered. You know, when you have areas that are kind of blotchy where you get all the way to raw wood, you're all the way down to raw wood and parts of it still have some of the finish, you get this inconsistent texture. And I just find it's better to do multiple layers of primer. It's very cold right now, so I've got a dish heater and a fan blowing on my pieces, and it actually works awesome to get these to dry. So here I am sanding after this second coat of primer. This is some water I'm just misting onto a microfiber cloth. I find this is the best thing I've ever done to get all of the dust off of there. It really is. It just captures everything. Here I am with paint. This is a custom taupe that I made, and the color combination that I used to do this is Melange Restoration Bronze with Oyster. And it was pretty much I think it was a 50-50. I don't remember the ratios, but those are the two colors anyway that make this. It goes on very beige, but it dries. You can see that color now. So I paint with the drawers in, and of course you see those little edges there that didn't quite get covered, or that didn't get painted because the edge of the drawer was covering it. And so I just go in with a little poly brush and take care of those little details. I'm definitely changing the hardware, so I'm just trying to figure out placement. Do I want it to go in 4 inches or 5 inches? So I figured that out, and now I am just using my hardware jig to go ahead and put those holes there. Drill all the holes for the new hardware. I'm going to be putting knobs on all the drawers. I'm also going to be lining these drawers. Actually, we're in pretty good shape, but I just thought I'd give it a little extra flair. These poor things have been through a lot, so they need a little extra dressing. If you need to line drawers, you definitely need one of these T-squares because it just makes life so easy. I went ahead and marked my lines for all 4 pieces, so all I do is cut, cut, cut. I like to cut them to the exact dimension of the drawer, so I don't have a bunch of stuff that I have to cut off once I get it in the drawer. I feel like using the X-Acto knife never works out right, and my lines are not straight. So I just took the backing off, and now I can put it right down in the drawer, smooth it out. I've got a plastic putty knife that I use to really get into the corners and everything, make sure it's all nice and smooth. And now that I have the drawers done, it's time to finish with the poly. I use General Finishes High Performance Top Coat in flat. I'm just dumping out the paint out of my spray canister, and I'm adding some top coat in there. And I'm mixing it so that I'm tinting the top coat just with the little residue of paint that's left in the canister. This just assures me that I'm not going to have any streaking or blotchiness. I do this every time, whether it's white or black. How do you like that PPE picture? Make sure you wear a mask, especially with top coat. Those fumes are awful. So here goes the top coat. I will top coat and then sand again with that sanding sponge, and then do another layer of top coat. Even though this paint is super durable, the top coat just adds all the extra you need. And here they are. Can you believe that that came from that nightstand dresser? Now they are all pretty and ready to be loved once again as nightstands. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you don't already follow, be sure to hit that follow button.